So I'm co-founder of Nubit and also the PhD student at UCSB, where I do research in the field of compilers and Web3 security. And so what problem are we trying to solve? So let's take a look at today's infrastructure, today's Web3, where we are, right? So we have a lot of layer ones, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And based on these layer ones, we have a lot of crypto assets. And to reuse these assets to secure like more blockchains, we have a lot of restaking protocols, such as Babylon for Bitcoin and EigenLayer for Ethereum. And they are like based on that, like there are layers upon layers of protocols, and all the way up to layer 2s and layer 3s. So at this point, you might be thinking like, what's the missing part? What exactly do we need? So we already see there are a lot of infrastructure being built, but we also notice that the entire industry is like suffering from the lack of traction. When I say traction, I mean we need more like consumer engagement. So also there are a lot of like talented Web2 developers are trying to like build great applications, but they encounter like significant barriers when they are trying to enter Web3. So which I will like elaborate on it like in the next few slides. So before we jump into our solution, let's take a look at how Web2 achieved mass adoption. So here's an example. The WeChat. WeChat is a very like the most popular platform originally in China. And it is popular not just because it offers like, the social features like chats and moments, but also it offers the payment system and the storage solution through Tencent Cloud. And more importantly, it encapsulates all these modules into easy-to-use platform called Weixin DevTools. And this Weixin DevTools actually allows developers to launch their applications without worrying about underlying details, such as payments, such as storage. Also need to do is to use this toolkit to develop their own business logic. So now the problem becomes like, can we mimic a similar approach in Web3? The answer is yes. Luckily, we have like a platform called Telegram, which has a user base as large as WeChat, but there are still many missing pieces. Also, it has the social features like chats and stories. We still need like payment system, like blockchain management, and also storage solution. And more importantly, we need to wipe up everything into a like easy to use and a clean platform for developers to transition to Web3. So, and it is not easy, and here's the challenge. If you take a look at it from the perspective of a Web2 developer, what do you see, right? When you are trying to build some applications in Web3, you certainly have a lot to worry about. You need to learn smart contracts other than the traditional Web2 development, and you need to like get familiar with the blockchain, and also even if you settle everything, you need to still worry about security, because we are talking about the billions of assets in Web3, and a tiny mistake in your protocol could lead to the complete loss. So to like solve these problems, I want to highlight 3 key ingredients. The first ingredient is the unified wallet. You might ask, like, there are a lot of wallets nowadays, right? But actually, none of them satisfy all the requirements I listed there. So the first requirement is that it should support multiple blockchains. So the users don't need to switch wallets whenever they want to use another blockchain. And the second requirement is that it should support like social login. So the Web2 users can actually use their Web2 accounts to manage their crypto assets, such as like using like their Telegram or using their Gmail to manage their accounts. And it should support on-ramp and off-ramp natively, so the users can basically deposit and withdraw at any time. And most importantly, it should like directly integrate into Telegram, so the users don't need to download another applications like through a different platform. All they need to do is to perform a transaction within this single platform, which is Telegram. And the second ingredient I want to highlight is to empower users and developers with their own mini chain or their own chains. On the left-hand side, you can see there are chains that are trying to onboard all the applications and the users. And if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. So the developers actually, for example, the requirements for like AI agents should be very different from those for like trading bots, right? So we want to, at Nubit, we want to help developers to launch their own mini chain tailored to their own needs. So the developers can become their own landlords and directly benefit from their user base. And here's the third ingredient. I already mentioned there are layers upon layers of protocols, right? So won't this just lead to like worse fragmentation problem? The answer is no. So we will solve this fragmentation problem through this universal bridge. So if you are familiar with the traditional like architecture, so each application has its own chain. So we want to like connect each chain with this universal bridge where they can communicate with each other. Like it acts like a crossover bridge. And to further optimize this process, all the mini chains are directly integrated with Nubit DA by default. So where they can like communicate with each other within this DA layer, which is much more efficient. And let's zoom out a little bit and take a look from the perspective of Web2 developer. And what do they see? At the top, there are Telegram, and there are many like good applications. And what they need to do is to tell us what they want through this decentralized kit, which layer ones they want to settle on, and which DA layers they want to use. And we help developers to launch this like vertical architecture through our Nubit DA and universal bridge and unified wallet. So the developers don't need to worry about the underlying blockchain details, and they can still transition their Web2 applications to Web3. And here I want to dive into the technical details. So to build this universal bridge, if you are familiar with the traditional layer 2 architecture, so basically each layer 2 has its own sequencer. So what will happen like if you have a transaction that involves like different mini chains, right? And you have no like automatic execution. So at Nubit, we are trying to connect all these mini chains with a shared sequencing protocol, where they can perform like automatic execution. So no matter how complex your transaction is, if something goes wrong in the middle, the entire process will roll back. And the second part is our DA layer. So for the Nubit DA layer, it's our like core part and the core idea behind all this the matrix architecture. It has 3 key components. The first one is the validator. We are using the Bitcoin staking thanks to the Babylon protocol, and we also use the high-performance consensus algorithm to try to like achieve the level of Bitcoin's censorship resistance. And for the DA part, we also have full-thread node, which you can think of it as a full-thread replica of all the data published to Nubit. And we also have light node, which will perform DA sampling with the validator and the full-thread node that ensures the availability of the data. And we also have decentralized kit. So that's where things turn to something like familiar. If you are familiar with the Web2, like traditional Web2 development, you might recognize this MVC architecture. The view here represents the user interface, such as mini app, such as H5 frontend. And the module here typically is stored on some like database. And the controller here is your core business logic of your application. And if you want to transition or put your Web2 application on chain, all you need to do is to add a tiny module relevant to blockchain, which is essentially a ledger. So it's actually an extension to the traditional Web2 design pattern. So it makes it easy for developers to transition to Web3. And how does Nubit fit into this, right? We help developers to launch their own chain with their own application, and we solve the liquidity fragmentation through this universal bridge and our DA layer. And so for the Web2 developers, we basically bridge this gap for them to enter Web3. And where we are right now, so 2 weeks ago, we launched this architecture, and with like 3 applications onboarded. So we already have like Tomo Wallet, which is the first unified wallet. We have partnered with them closely to ship this product. And as for the DA and the mini chain, we have already integrated with like all major layer 2 stacks, so the developers can actually launch any mini chains they want. And we can settle on the Ethereum and Tong natively. So they are like, as for the matrix, we already have like 60,000 active users and generating over 200,000 transactions on our DA layer. I would like to conclude this keynote with this quote. So let's say you have built a lot of roads, but there's nobody lives there. Is that valuable? Not yet. Think about you have built a lot of houses, but nobody wants to live there because there's no jobs. There's no other people. Is that valuable? Not yet. Then you build a lot of factories. Now there are jobs. There are goods to trade, and people can move in. All these infrastructures from the first 2 steps suddenly becomes valuable. But before that, it was just potential value. So which one is the valuable part? All of them together are valuable, but missing one ingredient makes everything useless. So at Nubit, we are trying to build these missing pieces for Web2 developers to enter Web3. And we think to onboard the next billion users, we need to first onboard the next million developers in their applications. Thank you.